Like a lot of people, you've put a lot on hold. Eating in restaurants, praying in your house of worship, attending sporting events, all to protect your health. So as we all start to get back, the same people who have been protecting your health all along are the people doing the most to keep your health safe. Always. We're open for emergency care and for appointments safely for you. CHI St. Luke's Health Memorial.
Welcome to Chamber Connect, connecting business to community. I'm Tara Watson-Watkins, President and CEO of the Lufkin Angelina County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined with my great co-host, Blake Pollino of BP Media Group. Hi, Blake.
Hey, we just finished an awesome episode with Becky and Kevin Cota of Century 21 Cota Realty here in Lufkin. Awesome story about how they've gotten into small business ownership, how the real estate market in our community is impacted by economic development, and some really insightful tips for small business owners. So let's jump into this episode right now.
We're excited today to have Becky and Kevin Cota with Century 21 Cota Realty, and they have been just incredible chamber investors and plugged in. But the thing I love about y'all the most is just how much that when you bought this business 4 years ago, you just went full force to get involved in the community and to not only make sure that your real estate group was plugged in, but that you were plugged in and that you could give back to your agents. And so we welcome you, and we can't wait to hear your story. And
Thank you.
We're happy to be here.
Yes, we are so excited to be here.
So why don't you tell us your story? For those that are listening that maybe aren't familiar with y'all, tell us your story, maybe how you met, how long y'all have been married, things like that.
Well, that's an interesting story. We are not Texas born. However, I think we both got here as fast as we could, as they say. I'm from Wisconsin. Kevin's from Maine
originally.
And but we met in Nacogdoches in college through mutual friends, and it was history from there.
Had her at hello.
Yes, but so I've been in Texas for 20 years, okay. And Kevin's been here just a little bit longer than myself.
Yeah,
and,
I moved at the end of '93, so I've been here for more than half my life now. So,
so you're a Texan.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
we'll claim it.
Yes.
We are. We've gotten to that stage where now when we go home, it's a little bit weird. Mm-hmm. You know, the way people talk and the culture, right. It's, because we're so acclimated to Texas, and that's become, it's become ours. Mm-hmm. That's who we are now. Yeah. But so we've been married for 15 years now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
been together for 20.
Yeah. Four beautiful children, and so we're very busy, very, very busy outside the business as well.
And then before you had Century 21 Cota, you were both realtors, you were in real estate? What did you do before that?
So prior to purchasing the company, we were both in real estate, but prior to that even, we had other careers. So I was a teacher prior to real estate, and Kevin, tell him what you had done.
So, from the time I moved here, I was in manufacturing. So I worked 16 years. I put myself through college and finally got to a point to where a degree I thought was to make a jump. So I went from manufacturing to insurance sales, and then I got into oil and gas, running mineral title and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that. And but we went from basically being sourly employed to independent contractors real quick. Mm-hmm. So it was, to where we had to generate our own income.
I was pregnant with Isaac when I had decided to get my real estate license and start doing real estate. I had always wanted to be a teacher. It was my lifelong dream. I love children. I love to interact with them, and I wanted to be able to be home with my kids while they were off. However, when I got in the classroom, it was not what I expected, a little bit overwhelming emotionally, and so I wanted to get out of that, and Kevin made it real clear that wasn't a smart choice, going from teaching where, it was very secure, you had insurance, to being an independent contractor where there was no, no salary guaranteed. You had to make, you had to put in what you wanted to get out. And so I knew that going into real estate, I had to make it work. I had to replace my teaching salary along with the money that was needed to purchase insurance, and that was a non-negotiable. And I think that's kind of what helped me be so successful outside of the awesome mentors that I had, just that drive, because I knew I didn't want to be back in the classroom. I wanted to have a career that still allowed me to be with my children.
Right.
And so I had to make it work, and I love it. I am so glad that I made that leap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. So tell us a little bit about Cota Realty. So tell us a little bit about your company, about your offices here in Lufkin. Kind of walk us through what today looks like.
Well, it was a huge jump for us. I mean, we had the opportunity to where it was presented to us. We really had to pull ourselves together as far as to purchase.
Sure.
It's kind of funny because whenever we started the business, we felt like we were done growing our family. So it's been crazy that if you go to the legal company name, our company name is Abigail Enterprises Inc. And then we do a DBA underneath that with Century 21 Cota Realty. Well, Abigail was the daughter that we thought we was never going to have. So it's like, okay, well, if we're not going to have another child, then we're just going to name our business that, and have her be a part of it.
Yeah.
But we were blessed. We ended up
A couple months after we committed
Surprise.
to purchasing, we found out we were pregnant.
Yeah.
And Abby
And,
was born 6 months after.
She was a blessing.
We
I mean, from
acquired
the
it.
first week that she was born, she was sleeping 100% through
Oh,
the
yes.
night.
Oh, that's
and there
awesome.
was,
Yes.
I mean,
That's unheard of.
I know. So it was definitely a blessing because it was a very busy time for us,
Yeah.
especially getting right off to the starting the business.
But so we acquired a company that had been in business in Lufkin for 25 years. 2016 was year 26 for them, and that's when we purchased the company. At that time, they had 14 agents, and that was kind of a shift for them, of course, because they had worked for the Bryan team for so long and never had any thoughts in their mind that the Bryans would ever sell.
Right.
They were so successful. They were so good at what they did. Just amazing mentors, like I said. And so anyways, we purchased in 2016. Most of the agents stayed. Some, a few left at that time. They wanted to go a different direction, but we've grown the company. Right now we have 23 agents.
Wow.
And we're, our focus is, just people first. Our focus is just helping people get where they need to be. And that may or may not turn into a real estate transaction. Something I'm passionate about, because I love teaching, is just helping my agents grow and develop personally. And then, you've got to balance that personal and professional if you want to be successful in life, right? And so just helping them really stay focused on their goals and how all of, just having that balanced wheel of family, life, work, all of that goes together. So my role in the company is pretty much coaching and training and that kind of thing. And Kevin, his background, he didn't tell you, but he went to college for business administration and business management and eventually got finance degree, right, for your 4-year.
That's really handy now.
And
huh?
so
Yeah.
his side of it is more of the financial side. So we make an awesome team where he's all the brains and he makes sure I don't spend too much money. And I'm more of the fun and interactive side of it.
Well, it's a great combination. And, we're talking about economic development. And what better thing to look at than to look at real estate, and whether it's homes or businesses, you're a part of economic development for Lufkin and Angelina County. And so how have you seen over the last 4 years, what has changed with real estate and developments?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that has changed, and it's been from the growth of Lufkin in general, as far as, we went through the ups and downs of the Lufkin Industries closing the majority of their positions and to where we're at now. But what we've been seeing is like other forms of industry kind of picking up the jobs that we're leaving. So the medical field really took a large amount of those jobs and kind of helped us through. And then just within the recent couple years, as far as just the growth of the small business, so, where business is coming into town and they're not huge industry companies, but it's a good mixture to, I feel like our confidence in our economy in the future is going to be great, because if one of these companies decides like, hey, we're going to relocate to another area, it's not going to be a huge major impact like it was, for, Lufkin Industries leaving. And
so we've definitely seen primarily that influx in housing and increase where the medical field, we see a lot of medical professionals moving in from other areas, especially California and Florida. We see a big influx. You wouldn't think,
No.
but here in Angelina County, they surely do. We've steadily seen an increase in home value and properties sold, units sold. I mean, it increases every single year. And something that we're really blessed in our community for is that we don't see those huge bubbles like you do in Houston or Dallas or Austin. We kind of get the trickle effect. So when you see them and they're having multiple offers, they're having 30 multiple offers on one property and driving that sales price well over $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 above the asking price.
Wow.
And here we're seeing that, but it's later, and then it's on a much smaller scale. So, we'll see multiple offers here, especially in this real estate market, but we're getting 3 to 4 multiple offers. And there was one this past couple of months where we had 9 offers on one property. And so it's getting a little bit crazier, but it's not as far out as those larger markets, but we are definitely seeing that demand for housing.
Yeah. And we can gauge that as our indicator. So, once we start seeing something take place in the bigger cities, we can expect to start seeing it on our end,
6
in our
months.
area, to a year,
Yeah.
maybe even a couple years. So, but this whole COVID, it's definitely shaken things up to where it's definitely a different time of selling real estate.
So do you find more selling real estate online versus taking people in to look at places? Or are you still taking people in as much?
We are still taking people in, but there's been a significant increase in the 360 home tours that you see where you can do the virtual walkthrough. There's definitely been an increase in the realtor going in individually and FaceTiming their client, doing that live video walkthrough with their client, and especially if it's one of those clients that are coming in from out of town or out of state. They can't, first of all, they couldn't get here during that really bad time. But it's just, that's happening more and more in our area, which is more common in those larger areas.
That's crazy. I can't imagine buying a property and not stepping a foot in
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I would be a nervous
Oh my
wreck.
gosh.
It's crazy.
There's no way.
You'd be amazed at how many people actually do that, especially in the military sector, because they have to have a place wherever they're going immediately.
Right.
And so they do it virtually and buy it sight unseen.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a world to live in. So our businesses are slightly adjacent. So we do real estate photography and videography as one of the businesses that I own. And let's talk a little bit about how this COVID thing has changed. So we fully expected when this happened for things to just completely shut down. Like, we thought the real estate market was going to collapse. We thought everything was going to shut down. We weren't going to do any business. And it was quite the opposite. Like, we're seeing, let's talk a little bit about that. How have you seen the market change since that's happened?
So, I tell people, before we came into COVID, it was, we were in probably one of the best sellers market that we've ever seen. And that was driven because of mainly inventory and, since COVID, there was 2 months that was really concerning right from the get-go. But after that, like
it's been gangbusters.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And again, it's just the fact that people, if they find a house that they have any kind of interest in, they've got to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
They do.
If they want to get it.
And honestly, I mean, if you look at the data for people who were affected by COVID, primarily it was your service and retail industries. Primarily that age group is 24 and under. And so
not really buying a lot of houses anyway.
That group is about 3% of the group that's actually purchasing real estate. So, the people that were looking for real estate, like Kevin said, they still had to purchase a property.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really interesting insight. I mean, we've heard the stories just here in our local market. And to kind of give you some background, so I actually started my career in real estate I was 18 years old.
I remember.
It was 2008, which you have to be a young, naive 17, 18-year-old to decide you're going to get your real estate license in 2008. The worst time ever to sell real estate.
Yes.
And even being that far away from it, I mean, it doesn't feel like a significant amount of time, but it's changed completely in that amount of time. So seeing the market the way it is now, we're hearing stories of houses selling after 4 hours of being active on the market with multiple offers over list price. And kind of like what you said before, it trickles down from these bigger cities, but we've never really seen that in Lufkin before. And so it's kind of just jaw-dropping to see that. But it feels like, and maybe you can speak to this, it feels like it's happening at more of a sustainable level than what we see in the bigger cities. So you talked earlier about a house selling for $50,000 over what it was listed for. That's a bubble, right? Like that's probably not sustainable forever for houses to sell, like that. But it seems like what we have here is sustainable. Like, would you agree with that? Is that?
I think so. We have really good appraisers that, we work off sold comps. So, you may have a property that gets out there and is really above what's typically the average sales of a home, but that may be because of cash, to where an appraisal isn't needed, somebody's willing to pay that amount, and as we see those, it actually moves our dollar value up. So
it is. It's moving at I would say a sustainable level. Now that doesn't mean we aren't having appraisal issues, because we are.
Right. Sure.
Because buyer demand is so high. Right. However, most realtors are doing a really good job at coaching their sellers and letting them know, hey, this could happen, but if your buyer client has financing, if they've got a mortgage lender behind them, then we could run into some issues, and you need to be prepared for that. And same thing on the buyer side. The buyer's agents, we're telling all of our agents, you've got to coach your buyers, even though you're willing to pay this. If the market doesn't support it, you might not be able to get a loan. Sometimes they have the assets, and that's another thing. People have more assets right now. Their savings accounts are higher than they've ever been, statistically speaking, across the United States, because people are saving. So sometimes they do have that additional assets where they can come to the table and pay over what the asking or what the appraised value was, which is great, and it's helpful to get those comps, so it supports the new values and supports those what a willing buyer is to pay.
Right. So what is your favorite thing you've ever sold? Is there like one specific one that you just think that was so much fun to sell?
So there is a house. It was built in 1930 something. Okay. One owner, the family, the parents had passed and the kids were selling it. And it was this beautiful property that had, it was a frame built house, and then they had gone around it with brick, and it was on 2 acres in the city. And they had all of these fruit trees, and it was just this amazing property in the city of Lufkin. And that was my absolute favorite. And it got so much traffic and so many showings, and sold for way over asking price, because it was this awesome, unique property in the city that you would never expect to find. You'd expect to find it, 5 miles outside the city limits or something like that. But it was so good, and it was a sweet, transaction, just because of the history and the family.
Been one family
and,
that had done it.
Yeah.
How about you, Kevin?
I have pretty much all my transactions, I've enjoyed it. It's not so much the property, it's the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got so many new friends and people that I just have. I've got one couple that we found them a place in Livingston, on Lake Livingston, and they message me all the time, and I mean they're just.
That's nice.
They're great people.
They want you to still be a part of their story. Yeah. That's great.
And then I've had other people to where I've sold them cattle ranches, and only to find out that they're from the same area that I grew up in. Actually,
that's funny.
Went to the same high school.
Oh my gosh.
Family, yes, new family in Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Small world.
In
Really
Lufkin,
small
Texas.
world.
That's a small
Very
world.
awesome.
During a medical emergency, every minute matters. That's why at Woodland Heights Medical Center, you'll find less waiting where you need it most, in our emergency room. In fact, we will work diligently to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. And because we're a full-service hospital, we can provide more care if you need it. Less waiting, faster care. Only at Woodland Heights Medical Center. Woodland Heights Medical Center is owned in part by physicians.
Are you interested in buying or selling real estate? I'm Becky Cota, broker and co-owner with my husband Kevin here at Century 21 Cota Realty. We have 21 agents that are highly trained and committed to delivering an extraordinary buying or selling experience. Contact us today to see how we can help you.
So let's talk a little bit about one of the things we've been covering in this series in the podcast is Lufkin, Angelina County, how it's different, how it excels in a lot of areas. But let's talk a little bit about how the real estate market, and we've touched on this a little bit when you compare it to bigger cities, but we've kind of found Lufkin and Angelina County to be this, I don't want to call it an enigma, but it's so different and it's so misunderstood by people who don't live here, right? We've had just about everybody who's come in here talk about, we get misjudged a lot of times because of the sign of the population when you come into the city limits, but it doesn't account for this hub and this community that pulls in. And the real estate market is like that in a lot of ways. How is that kind of different than what makes Lufkin's real estate market special, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think it's the people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go anywhere, and I mean, for someone that's not originally from this area to where they have welcomed us in, as I mean, we've had comments to where, wow, you're doing pretty good for somebody that's not from here. It's like, well, yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just neat. I mean, everybody. I've been in this area since '93, but yet the majority of that time I've been in a certain specific area. So I really haven't started really meeting people in Lufkin until we purchased the company.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just getting out, networking with people, and it's just very welcoming. I mean,
I'd have to agree. I mean, there's just something special
Yeah.
about our
true.
community and the people that live here, that they're just so invested, and there's a common mindset of people helping people, keeping our community great, just making Lufkin a great place to live, work, and play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly, I feel like, a mindset of so many people.
That has been the common theme over this past month is the people and how kind people are and how much they want to help and that they want to mentor younger people that are coming up so that we can continue to leave legacies and continue to build on economic development. And, for those of you that are listening that don't know where Lufkin, Texas is, we are an hour and a half north of Houston. We're in 3 hours to Dallas. We're an hour and a half to Shreveport. We're 4 hours to Austin. So we are centrally located to be able to get to any place that we need. We've got one of the major ports 2 hours south of us. So it's just this beautiful community that, our slogan is, you'll love Lufkin. And I think if you're here for a weekend, you understand what that means because it is truly the people. They are hardworking, blue collar. But man, if you have a flat on the side of the road, they're going to stop to help you. If someone has died and there's a funeral procession, every single person is going to pull over on the side of the road out of respect for the family and it's something that you don't find anywhere else. You know, I've was born and raised here, but moved to Fort Worth and lived in Dallas and Austin, and I never thought I would be back home as, you know, a young late 20s person back in the day. It seems like so far ago. But I can't imagine being anywhere else to raise my family. And it is the people, it is the fact that there are visionaries here that believe in this community and believe in the people.
Absolutely.
And they welcome people from different states to come. And we want, you know, that's the thing. We want people to be successful.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's not just us. It's we want everybody to be successful. Yeah.
It's interesting, Tara, too, because that is the story of so many people that we help purchase a home here, where their family grew up here, they moved off, they went to college, they stayed away for a few years, but they had to come back. Never thought they would, but Lufkin is so special, and it, like you said, it's not like that other places.
No, it's not. It's not, and people don't get it. And then they come here and they're like, oh, I understand now. Yeah,
it's very much true, and that's been our story. I mean, I was born and raised here as well, and then lived literally on all four sides of the country, and it was always coming back to Lufkin. Always coming back here, and then I did come back here and got married, and we decided for whatever reason we wanted to move to Houston, my wife and I, and we did that, and almost as soon as we got there, we were like, it was a plan to come back to Lufkin. It's crazy how that happens, and that's the story for so many people. You know, of pretty much every generation that's come through here, and it's a great place to live, great place to raise a family, to start a business. And let's talk a little bit, less about the real estate and more just about owning a small business in East Texas, and talk to us about what that's been like being a small business owner around here. We've talked about how great the people are and how awesome that is, and we've found through these series of interviews that there are a ton of resources that are out there. But being so fresh into owning this business as the two of you are, what are some things that you have found that have really helped your business to be successful here in the early years of you owning it?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, right from the get-go, we went to Angelina College and used their
Small Business Administration.
SBDC.
Help me.
I think we've mentioned that in every
single
podcast
one this month.
We might need to.
I was going to say we need some royalties for them.
For real. That's I've written it down like on every single note.
I think that is Lufkin's best kept secret. I had no
Not
idea.
Anymore.
I mean, we literally taking a leap of faith, and Michael and Sandy knew that I wanted to have my own company. I had a 5-year plan. Well, that turned into a 1-year, so all of the planning and getting ready, and how do you be an actual real small business owner that manages other people. And we went to Angelina College and got partnered up with one of their gentlemen there, and he helped us build a business plan and talk to us about, it was amazing.
And we didn't end up using their lending products. We ended up going with a local company here, but again, they just opened it up. I mean, you gotta think we're purchasing a company that's really, I mean, there's no physical assets to it,
Right?
So it's blue sky lending, and they, based upon our work history and everything that we've done, that bank, I mean, they had faith in us that we were going to, so they gave it to us, we took it, and then, I mean, it's really.
So owning a business is hard.
Very hard.
Emotionally,
Oh, absolutely.
physically. It's a full-time, 24/7, you are at every position there.
That's right.
And
you always hear all these young kids say, I'm going to own my own business. And you're like, dude, you have no clue what that means.
Well, the thing is, like for instance, the chamber events. If we miss a chamber event, that's an opportunity that we let go without showing up and marketing our company.
That's right.
So I mean, it is. We've done a lot of high fives and crossing in the evenings of swapping kids out and stuff like that. But I mean, we've done what we had to do to help grow our company, build our name out there.
The chamber's been an amazing resource.
Absolutely.
Helped us meet so many people. I mean, the relationships that we've built through Meeting people and making those friends through the chamber has been wonderful. I talk about our mentors, Michael and Sandy Bryan. We would not be here without them. They, so much good advice and just wisdom and the living through it and being able to talk from a point of experience has been invaluable for us.
Absolutely.
But
So I know that you're both podcast junkies. We talked about that earlier, that you love. And you love to do really mentoring with your own agents.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite podcasts that you've been able to turn around and implement the things they've said back into your agents to be successful?
So are you asking me which podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay. So my favorite podcasts are Brian Buffini. He is like one of the #1 real estate coaches in the world, but he's also done a spinoff to where he's become so successful with that he's able to dive in and do something that's really closer to his heart. And so he has a podcast that's called, and now it's gone from me.
It's okay.
Oh man, I will come back to that.
That's
But
fine.
anyway, so he has a podcast that's totally dedicated to building people up. And so there are tidbits about real estate, but it's more about developing yourself personally and professionally. And that is the one that I that's where I grab a lot of my information and push it out to my agents, and different quotes and just different ways to think about things, and how do you create that miracle morning for yourself so that you can go out and be successful. But he's my absolute favorite, Brian Buffini. Everybody's got to look for it.
We've got some of the agents that come out of their office like, yep, I got my coaching with Becky in, and it's not, it's more of a, it's not
It's
strictly
like their
realistic.
vitamin C.
Yeah. It's a little upper.
The mindset methodologies, mindset, motivation, and mindset.
That's a lot of M's.
Mindset
Methodology.
All right, Blake, you're going to have to do some editing here.
It's okay.
Mindset, motivation, and methodologies of success.
That's a
Got
mouthful,
it.
girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
And so he talks to you about your mindset, what are the methods that you implement, and the motivation that keeps you
Yeah,
going.
nice.
Yeah, it's really good.
Nice. What's a podcast that you use and you implement in your life?
I've really enjoyed listening to Joel Osteen on his podcast. It's something to where he just kind of takes my mind and just puts it at a level, of any time that I'd need.
Puts things in a perspective. Yeah.
And she does that quite a bit with me as well. Very cool. But no, I mean, as far as I enjoy listening to that, Brian Buffini, and then sometimes just on the personal level, fantasy football podcast, just to
You
take
gotta
it.
have-
I mean, just to bring me to a place of normalcy.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
in which I am reigning champion. last
Shout
year,
out,
so-
right? Humble brag, just throw that in there. So in addition to talking about the economic development in the community, we want people to get to know these small business owners, because if there's one little nugget that you can glean from someone who's already gone through this process, then that's valuable. So if you're out there listening, we're going to kind of dive in, and Tara's got us going that direction already, to talk about some things that you do in your lives personally that have kind of helped make you successful or keep you sane, outside of the podcast. So some questions that we like to ask. So what is, and we definitely want a question and an answer from each of you. What's a purchase that you have made in the last year, less than $100, that has improved your life? Can be business related, can be personally related.
I don't know. You go first.
It's come from Amazon, I'm sure. This has got to be something you bought on Amazon. I need to prep people with this question so they can go back to the orders. Like,
That's
what
right.
was it
I
that
know.
I bought?
What they bought.
Yeah, what did I buy?
Yes. So something that's really awesome that has improved our lives is, I would say, the Instant Pot.
Yes.
Hey.
Made life a little easier for
Yeah,
you.
Yes.
I haven't tried that yet. I keep hearing about it, though. I do have the crock pot going for tonight, though.
You need to get on the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
That's a fun trend to hop on, but really cool. Something that just, it's kind of fun. Next question we're going to fire off at you is, if you could have a billboard that everybody in the world got to see, what message would you put on it?
Oh, wow.
These are big questions, I know. I need to start sending these out to people before so that they'll know,
Yeah.
have some advanced. But we like to put you on the spot.
Something that I tell all of our agents and anybody that wants to affiliate with us or is thinking about joining us is that we won't compromise our integrity to make a buck.
Yeah.
And that's
That's perfect.
things are black and
Nice.
white with us.
Yep.
We do what's right no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's a great one.
And if it's business wise, I mean, we are so thankful and blessed to have the group of agents that we have within our office that, I mean,
They feel the same way.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
I mean,
family.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, for us to make them, if they're successful, that means at the end that we're going to be successful.
Right.
So we try to do as much as we can to, you know, to help them succeed.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Love it. So if you could go back 4 years ago, you're just purchasing the business, you're just getting into this small business ownership world. If you got to give yourself some advice to 4 years ago, what would that be?
If you know you got to make a decision, do it.
Do it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just don't hesitate. Do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic answer.
Well, we appreciate y'all being here so much, and we appreciate
welcome. Thank
all that
you.
you're doing to help economic development for our community
thank you.
and for the people here. And we look forward to continuing to work with y'all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
That's
y'all so
great.
much for the
Thanks for
time.
having
Where
us.
can everyone find you? Where can they learn about your business and you personally? Where?
C21CotaRealty.com is the best place, or you can find us on the loop in Lufkin.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us, and thank you everybody for listening. We hope that you've gained something out of this conversation and got some great insights out of it. If you'll do us a favor, if you will subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcatcher you are listening to, if you'll do us another big favor and also review the podcast, that helps us out a ton. And if you want to catch this podcast in video form, you can find that on the Chamber YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. But thank you so much for listening to the Chamber Connect podcast, and we will see you later.
Take care.